This exhaustion isn't burnout. It's prophetic fatigue, a holy heaviness placed upon you by God Himself. You thought you were tired because you've done too little, but heaven sees it differently. You're tired because your spirit has carried too much, too long, and now God is commanding stillness. Was it laziness, or was it divine pause? Was your retreat failure, or was it the formation of a fortress? What if I told you the most supernatural shift of your life is waiting on the other side of one simple act? Going to bed, not in defeat, but in obedience, because heaven is moving behind the scenes, and your stillness is the signal that opens the next scroll. By the end of this message, you will understand why God has delayed, hidden, and now summoned you. You'll finally see why the command to rest is not weakness, it's warfare. A sacred chamber has been opened in the Spirit, and your name is written on its door. Welcome to Chosen One's Sanctuary, where the sealed are summoned and the weary are awakened. Exodus 14:14 declares, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." But stillness is the very thing your flesh resists, and yet it is the key to unlocking the next chapter of your destiny. So stay, because what you're about to hear may explain why your body has been collapsing, why your soul has been aching, and why God is urgently calling you to the bed you've been avoiding. The signs you're about to receive may explain your entire life. The sleep command, a divine strategy disguised as stillness. This is not a nap. It is not rest as the world defines it. This is a consecrated order from the throne of heaven, issued to the weary, the worn, and the warriors who don't know they're bleeding. God is not asking you to rest. He is commanding you to cease, not because He is finished with you, but because He is just beginning. Stillness is not an intermission. It is a battlefield where movement becomes rebellion and silence becomes surrender. Scripture whispers what we've forgotten. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Psalm 23:2. Not invites, not suggests. He makes you lie down, because He knows that the construction of destiny cannot be built in noise. You're not behind, you're being built. What looks like delay is often divine dismantling, and what feels like failure is God removing the scaffolding before revealing the stonework. But will you trust the silence long enough to see what He's carving? Hidden markings. How rest confirms you're chosen. Not everyone receives strange orders. Not everyone is awakened at 3:17 a.m. with tears and trembling, unsure why. Not everyone hears, "Lay down," and knows it isn't about sleep, but alignment. This instruction has found you because you are marked, and marked ones do not get to rest like others. When God calls a soul into stillness, it is because He has carved their name into a scroll that hell fears. David was sent back to the fields while his brothers stood in line for oil. Esther was hidden in chambers before the crown ever touched her head. Mary was overshadowed by silence before she was overshadowed by spirit. You weren't delayed. You were disguised. Only those with a heaven-coded assignment are told to rest when it makes no sense, because the command is not about the body, it is about the architecture of the soul. So, the question is not, "Why am I so tired?" It is, "What is being born in me that only stillness can carry?" The silent years, when rest looks like rejection. To the untrained eye, silence looks like failure. To the chosen, silence is often the sound of heaven rearranging everything behind the curtain. Jesus spent 30 years in obscurity for 3 years of open ministry. Joseph rotted in prison before he ruled. Job sat in ashes before he encountered the whirlwind. You have mistaken this silence for abandonment. But God is not absent. He is near enough to whisper. There are some scrolls that can only be read in stillness, and some assignments so sacred, they require total isolation to take root. The silence wasn't absence. It was divine surveillance. You weren't forgotten. You were preserved. But can you remain hidden long enough to be revealed correctly? The furnace within. Obedience. When stillness feels like fire. Stillness should bring peace, but for the chosen one, it often burns. Because God is not putting you to sleep. He is placing you in a furnace of recalibration. Saul couldn't wait. He offered the sacrifice himself, fearing the delay would destroy the plan. But in doing so, he lost the kingdom. 1 Samuel 13. What he thought was just a moment of productivity was actually a test of trust. You are now in that same furnace. The heat is rising, and everything in you wants to move. Answer the call, check the message, break the fast. But movement here would be mutiny against the very healing you prayed for. Don't flee the fire. Let it forge you. For the fire is not there to burn you. It is there to reveal what was already gold. But will you remain in the forge long enough to see it shine? The danger of disobedience. The spiritual cost of movement. This isn't just about you. This day of rest has ramifications beyond your comprehension. One missed hour of stillness can delay a year of healing. One distraction can fracture a foundation heaven spent a decade preparing. When you move outside the command, you're not just missing sleep. You're aborting alignment. King Zedekiah ignored Jeremiah's word. He refused to surrender, thinking he could outlast Babylon. And he lost not only his kingdom, but his vision, his sons, and his legacy. Jeremiah 38. To move prematurely is to forfeit what was fully prepared. This command is holy. Disobedience won't bring punishment, it will bring misalignment. And misalignment doesn't feel like chaos at first. It feels like being busy with all the wrong things. So the question becomes, will you guard the pause, or will you lose what it was meant to protect? The architecture of healing. What God builds. While you sleep in stillness, heaven becomes an architect. Not loud, not frantic, but measured, mathematical, surgical. A cathedral is never built in haste. Its foundation is poured in silence and cured over time. You are not resting. You are curing. You are not sleeping. You are being poured into form. Jesus slept in the boat not because he was tired, but because the storm could not shake what divine peace had already anchored. You are becoming earthquake-proof in your stillness. While you rest, your walls are thickening. Your beams are being reinforced. Your foundation is being set in such a way that nothing hell throws next season will move you. But can you rest long enough to let the cement set? Darkness, confrontation. Why you were targeted. Early hell doesn't waste bullets. The attacks against you began before you knew your own name, because the enemy saw the blueprint before you ever held it. He saw the oil before you knew there was a crown. He saw the scroll before you knew there was a calling. And his strategy wasn't destruction. It was distraction. Early betrayal, unexplained illness, toxic relationships that drained your voice, cycles of burnout that felt normal. All of it, a calculated attempt to make you move before your moment. But the enemy's greatest fear is not your exhaustion. It is your stillness in the spirit. The fact that you were attacked this young is proof of how loud your calling sounds in hell. This is why your rest is war, and this is why the enemy will whisper anything to pull you out of bed. But now that you see it, will you stay on the altar until the fire finishes its work? If your spirit feels like it's shaking right now, if this word is unlocking memories, confirming whispers, or revealing patterns you couldn't name, comment 444 below as a prophetic act of alignment. Let the remnant know you're still listening and you're not moving. Not yet. The global alignment. You're not the only one called to rest. You're not alone. There is a divine summons being whispered across the earth, to prophets in hiding, to warriors in burnout, to mothers, leaders, builders, and dreamers who are too weary to lift their own arms. God is speaking the same phrase in 1,000 languages. Lie down. Let me rebuild you. This isn't personal rest. It is remnant recalibration. Elijah thought he was the last, but God revealed there were 7,000 others who had not bowed. You're not the only one being called away. You're just the first to obey. Your obedience is echoing, and heaven is synchronizing the chosen. So as you rest, others are rising, and as they rest, you will rise together. The echo effect. When your stillness becomes someone else's breakthrough. This is no longer about you. What God is doing in your hiddenness will ripple into someone else's deliverance. Your silence will carry healing. Your stillness will set captives free. Jesus slept in the boat, and everyone else survived because of it. One person's divine peace became another's miracle. Your obedience is someone else's survival. When you rest, you tear down strongholds in your bloodline. You make room for angels to war where you once strived, and the child watching you, the friend praying near you, the generations that follow you. They will eat fruit from the tree that you planted in stillness. But will you protect that orchard until it blooms? You weren't tired because you were weak. You were tired because heaven was pulling you out of the noise, into the holy chamber where only the chosen are allowed to recover. What the world called exhaustion, God called invitation, not to escape, but to be rebuilt in silence. You have not missed your moment. You are standing inside it. The command to rest was not the end of your assignment. It was the activation of your authority. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are called, covered, and commissioned. The bed you laid in became the altar God moved upon. Let this be sealed over your life. You have been marked. You have been fortified. And now you are being entrusted. If this word confirmed something sacred in your spirit, comment 777 below as a prophetic sign that you received it and that you are ready. Share the moment that pierced you. What part felt like it was written just for you? And if you know this is only the beginning, if you feel the fire rising again, subscribe to Chosen One Sanctuary and stay connected to the remnant that is rising across the earth. We are the hidden. We are the sealed. And now, we are the next echo. You are not alone. You are the next echo.